So it's great to be here, and for those of you who I may have worked with in the past or work with now, the one thing you know about me is I like to have the last word. So they're giving me the opportunity to have the last word at this conference. It is a sales and marketing stream, and I know there's lots of good things going on in pharma, but I can't underestimate or overestimate the value that sales leadership brings to driving sales in an organization. So I'm going to ask everyone to stand up. I know you guys have been sitting, and for me, I can't sit more than 10 minutes. Can everyone stand up? I'd like to do just a quick poll of the audience. And how many of you are either sales managers or heads of sales or sales leaders? If you are, sit down. Okay, interesting. How many of you are salespeople? All right, so we got an interesting audience. How many of you folks are marketers? Okay. So I'm going to tailor my message. Okay, what do the other folks do? Sales operations? Marketing, okay. So all those who have direct reports in marketing, there's a few people standing, so what do you do, sir? Oh, sorry. You're probably a marketer. I'm just kidding. Market access. Okay, well, welcome. Welcome. So leadership applies to sales, to marketing, and anyone who has direct reports, I think, can benefit from what I'm going to talk to you about today. And the one word I heard through all the presentations that I sat through is change, right? Everyone has talked about change, 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 change. And of course, in pharma, like any other industry, there's been tremendous amount of change. We've seen blockbusters come and go. We've had consolidation. We have companies like Valiant, which Sue-Ann talked about, buying up other companies. We've seen major reduction in sales force size, and we've seen intense focus on compliance, which there's no way I would have ever been able to stay in the industry with such focus on compliance as opposed to being an entrepreneur. The one thing I haven't heard or seen much is change in sales leadership. And the fact is, sales leadership has to change. I'm going to tell you today the reason why and where you may want to consider going to in terms of pharma sales leadership. Now, we're also taping this so all the other pharma sales leaders who couldn't be here today can benefit from my talk. So let me just, is this the fast forward button? Okay, so let me know if you guys agree. Number one, a highly motivated sales reps drive greater performance. Is that fair to say? Okay. And two, greater performance drives greater sales, where performance being the activity you do to drive your sales. So everyone, I would assume, wants to have highly motivated sales teams. If you're a marketer and you have a marketing team, you want them highly motivated. So let's just first set a definition of what motivation is. And the Business Dictionary defines motivation as internal and external factors that stimulate desire and energy in people to make an effort to attain a specific goal. So what they're saying, and this is very critical, that depending on the goal, someone's motivation may be different, right? Two, everyone has different motivators. So it becomes very complicated to sort of tap into motivation. And what I want to do is explore several leadership styles and see what the impact the leadership style has on motivation, performance, and sales. Now let's have a little bit of fun here. The first leader, I call him the Donald. And the Donald leadership style is my way or the highway. I don't know if there's anyone here who's worked for a Donald. Not you, but has anyone worked for a Donald? My way or the highway? No. So Donalds are kind of an extinct breed, but the reality is they work on fear. They use the stick to motivate. It's my way or the highway. It's positional power. And I know, I'm not a millennial, unfortunately, but none of the millennials would ever work for a Donald. They would just not put up with that. So companies that still have Donalds in sales leadership capacities are seeing tremendous turnover and depletion in their sales force. All of you remember the wonderful show called Let's Make a Deal with Monty Hall. And the Monty Hall style of leadership, which many of us employ today, and I know I love the Monty Hall style, which is let's make a deal. And how let's make a deal works is if you hit 10% of your quota or 10% over, you get $10,000. It's a fair exchange. There's a direct link between performance, results, and the rewards you get. And that's great. There's some real positives that come out of that. People in terms of motivating based on let's make a deal. And I'm sure many of the sales organizations in pharma, because I work with many of them, are still let's make a deal management style. Now, the other positive is it encourages sales reps to get better and to improve their performance. Where the drawback is on let's make a deal, if many of you are thinking about it now, and I've experienced this and I'll share a story with you, is number one, management gets locked into continually having to up the ante to get performance. It creates a sense of entitlement. I'm not sure if anyone's experienced that in pharma. I know I have. Also, as parents, we think about our kids where, we'd say, Jordan, clean up your room and you'll get a chocolate bar. Well, soon the chocolate bar has now become a PS4, and I can tell you with my daughter, it's now become you can get the car. It's hard to keep upping the ante. So what we're finding with organizations like this is that management is locked into a vicious cycle that they can't keep up with. I know we had a speaker here earlier on, Dominic Macaron, yesterday from Lundbeck. When I was at BioVale many years ago, we had a co-promotion with Lundbeck, and it was a very lucrative co-promotion, and we did phenomenally well. The problem was, the next year after that co-promotion ended and Celexa lost exclusivity, one of my key levers to incent my salespeople was no longer in place. Number two, when I was at BioVale many years ago, we also had stock options for salespeople. Well, with Sarbanes-Oxley, we lost that lever. So the concern was, of course, we're going to lose all our salespeople. And interesting thing is I'll show you sort of what we did through other leadership styles to really motivate people outside money. But I know many of you, when we talk about change, really don't see a reason to change. Many sales leaders feel that, hey, I know what I'm doing, I've been successful for many years. But what we're seeing is traditional sales leadership styles are no longer giving us the results we need. Okay? And so I did an extensive look at the research. And the research, for those of you who are going to go back and talk to your sales leaders, really suggests there are other approaches. So let me share a first study with you, which was done for a relatively large organization called the Federal Reserve Bank of Boston. They have tons of money. They enlisted in 2005 MIT, which is one of the top brain power schools or institutions in the US, to look at the link between performance and rewards. So they actually used MIT students, which are, I assume, some of the brightest minds in the country, and they played a variety of games. And they had two groups, basically. One group who was basically paid on performance, and one group who they told them, hey, you know what? We're not going to pay you. We're going to benchmark you to see how long it takes you to perform a variety of tasks. Okay, so the performance group, if they did really well, they got top performance or top dollars. If they got medium performance, they got medium dollars. And if they didn't perform that well, then they got low amount of dollars. So here's what the research says. As long as a task involved only mechanical skills, bonuses and rewards worked. Okay, so it reinforces the approach that the higher the pay, the better the performance. But that's for simple tasks. They further went on to find out that once the task involved even rudimentary cognitive skills, a larger incentive led to poorer performance. Okay? This is a landmark study. And the reason why they found this is when you provide high incentives, people get very focused on the tasks they have to do. And how many of you are in this room are involved in simple sales? We're all involved in complex sales. So if in a complex sale we're all kind of very focused on very specific tasks, we're missing the broader picture. And that's what rewards tend to do. They tend to focus us in. So hey, if you want to achieve a very simple task, rewards work. If you're in a complex selling environment, rewards don't necessarily drive performance. Okay, I know what you're saying. Really? I mean, cognitively, most of us disagree. I would disagree until I looked at the research, right? My belief was, you want to make things happen, let's layer on a contest. That's got to work. Let's layer on super bonus, right? And I did that all through my career. And I'm not saying that money doesn't work, but we need to look at other ways as the industry changes, as we change. So I looked at another study, which comes from the London School of Economics, okay, another well-renowned group. And they studied 51 pay-per-performance programs that companies ran. Okay, so they did a retrospective look at a variety of industries, saying what the impact was. And what they came up with is they found that plans with financial incentive can result in negative impact overall. Okay? They found that there's a negative impact on pay-per-performance programs. Daniel Pink, someone mentioned they follow TED Talks. He does a wonderful TED Talk called The Puzzle of Motivation. And in this talk, he shared some of these results, but he also found that there is a mismatch between what science knows, because these are results that have been around for a long time, and what business actually does. Because business's answer to a problem in the sales area is let's throw more money at it. That's got to work. So let me introduce what I find is a very powerful style of leadership. And I call it the Tony Robbins leadership style. And I love Tony Robbins. Many of you may know he's the father of coaching, the coaching industry worldwide. And his approach is one of actually helping people get better at what they do, helping them be their best. And I'm going to show you another study that talks to the power of coaching. Okay? It sounds good. Most people who I speak with cognitively agree that coaching helps reps get better, it helps drive performance. But let's look at some facts. This is a pharma industry that's data intense. Before I go there, I just want to set the tone so we're all on the same page of what coaching is. Okay? And if you notice, coaching, I put me. And coaching is really about the individual. It's about the individual's ability to self-determine. You may set a goal for them, but the coaching component is they set the pathway how they're going to get there. It's about building competencies, it's about improving your ability to do the job you do. The difference with coaching versus external motivators is it works from the inside out. It's really about the individual defining their path, deciding what's going to make them happy, and it's about the individual's agenda. Okay, and let's look at what internal motivators are before I talk about coaching. And these are several that I came up with. There's many that drive us, but most people, if you really ask them what drives you, they may say money first. And they say, okay, what really drives you? And it's not money. We know it's not money. A certain level of money is good. It provides a certain level of income. A little bit more money is not bad. But the fact is, most of us are driven on a variety of factors. And you can see them up here. One may be empowerment, which gets a little tougher in this industry, but the ability to do the job you're paid to do. Competencies, getting better and the feeling that, hey, I'm really good at my job is a driver. Contribution, being part of a bigger team and making an impact. Recognition, a lot of people work for recognition, whether it's from their boss, from their company, from an industry. And of course, achievement is a key driver or internal driver. So let me just summarize here. My belief is, and the evidence shows, that old style of leadership is not working. Okay? Rewards may negatively impact performance, which is new. And internal motivators are really powerful motivators for a sales rep, for a marketer, for anybody out there who's at a professional career. So let's look at what the research is telling us in the area of coaching, motivation, performance, and obviously sales. So I don't know if any of you are familiar with the CEB. Some may be familiar with the Challenger sale. They're the folks who did the research on the Challenger sale, which some companies are starting to implement. But in 2005, the CEB embarked upon research in the area of coaching. And they looked at over 2,600 reps over a variety of companies and came up with 4 key pieces of evidence that I'd like to share with you. Number one, they demonstrated that coaching improves sales rep engagement and reduces turnover. Okay? So there's an engagement piece from coaching. There's a reduction in turnover because people are happier when they're coached. Number 2, they found the #1 management activity that drives performance is coaching. So if you're a sales manager and you're in your office, you're not really doing your job. Number 3, they actually quantified the impact of going from low coaching effectiveness to high coaching effectiveness, which is a 19% increase in sales. There probably isn't too many programs or initiatives you can do that are going to give you 19% more sales. And the last one, or actually there's 2 more, is that sales reps who received coaching versus those that didn't significantly outperformed. Okay, so regardless of how good the coaching is, if you're getting some level of coaching versus none, there's a 17% lift in sales in an organization. The last one, which was truly interesting one, and they said, unfortunately, the majority of frontline managers lack the important driver of being a great sales coach. The problem we have here is sales managers are not very good at coaching. Coaching is a very difficult skill. So let's just review. We talked about old-style leadership. We talked about a Tony Robbins approach to sales leadership. And really the facts are that coaching improves engagement, reduces turnover, you get an improvement in performance, but the challenge is it's not easy. So if you want to be a new sales leader, if you want to change your paradigm, one of the key approaches is to take the Tony Robbins approach to sales leadership, of one of coaching your people to success. And my belief is companies that embrace this are going to see great success going forward. So many of you are thinking, okay, we like what you're saying, how do we get there? And that's always the challenge. How do we get from let's make a deal, because there's no Donalds, I think, left, there may be a few, but no one wants to admit it, to a Tony Robbins style of leadership. And I'm going to talk at 2 levels of how to get there. I'm going to talk organizationally, what organizations need to do to evolve their sales leadership style, and 2, what frontline sales managers need to do for them to be prepared and ready to lead in this new leadership paradigm. So the first organizational shift, and someone talked about it earlier this morning, about the CEO being key to be bought in on patient compliance or patient centricity. Well, if your top person in the sales organization, your CSO, chief sales officer, is not bought into coaching, you're not going to have an effective coaching program. You're not going to have an effective coaching leadership style. Number 2, coaching involves a mindset shift. Okay, and what that shift is moving from telling people what to do, which is very easy. It's always easy to go into tell mode, versus going into asking people what they think. And most people don't want to think. So there is a trick to coaching and facilitating people to think. One of the interesting other changes is sales reps need to take accountability. That's an interesting one because everybody talks about accountability. So in this type of style, your sales reps need to take accountability for their own development and their performance. Okay? One of the challenges we face where organizations are trying to move to this new leadership style is what happens when sales are off one quarter. Right? They're busy implementing a program and sales are off. The call comes down, we need more sales. Immediately they shift away from their style and go back to, let's make a deal. So management really needs to stay the course. Any change program in any organization, whether it's a marketing change, an operational change, or a leadership change, takes time and perseverance to make happen. And lastly, your frontline sales manager, who's the key to driving performance in sales organizations, needs to have their role redefined. And I'm going to speak about that as I kind of conclude. The shift that sales managers have to make is they need to move from managing people to coaching people. Okay? They're not there to tell people what to do. They're there to coach, facilitate, get people to think, help them set their own goals. They need to move away from being a motivator where you're, slapping backs, great job, yeah, to facilitating people to set their goals and feel that internally they've achieved what they set out to achieve. They need to move from a boss to a partner where you're looking at having shared goals, that you share goals as a manager and a sales rep. It's not, these are your goals, what the hell are you doing about them? And really the key to motivation is moving from external to internal motivators. We talked about what some of those are. Earlier in the discussion, it came up, understanding the why. And I have a wonderful article that you can pull off my website, which talks about tapping into the why. Because we can't motivate people, the key to motivation is really understanding why people are motivated to achieve a specific goal. And if you can tap into that, then you can help them, you can help their motivation and their focus on that goal. So the challenge that organizations face is it's very easy to build an incentive program. I've built tons of incentive programs in my days. The challenge is when you try to build an internal program, it becomes very specific and is critical that the managers can tap into your needs, your goals, and what drives you. So I want to leave you with two parting comments to facilitate change and different thinking. One, recognition and achievement are more powerful than financial rewards when it comes to performance. Okay? And two, if coaching was easy, everybody would be doing it. It's not easy. So for those of you, this will be posted on my YouTube channel, which is called Sales Management TV. But anyone who's interested in getting a copy of the white paper that I wrote several years ago, which is very similar to the talk, just hand me your business cards. And for those of you who liked what I said today and would like to say a few words, I'm happy to provide you with a signed copy of my book, 52 Sales Management Tips, the Sales Manager's Success Guide. And I'll take any questions you may have. Oops. Thank you.